Welcome back to our second episode of Serve and Serve. I'm your host, Sophie Arrington. Today we have a very special guest, the 2025-2026 Mississippi FFA State President, Byron Lopez.
Hey everyone.
Hey, how are you, Byron?
I'm doing good. How are you, Sophie?
Good. So, before we start, I have some rapid questions to ask you.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Number one, are you an early bird or a night owl?
Me personally, I'm a night owl. I feel like it all started whenever, during my junior year of high school, I took a geometry class that was just really stressful. I would be up until possibly midnight because I started working around then and wouldn't get off until like 9 o'clock, then have to go do geometry homework every night. She was very old school. So I feel like that's the practice I had with being a night owl. But there's so much I feel like I can do getting more done at night whenever there's not so much chaos going around or having to help others. So me personally, I'm a night owl. I would like to be an early bird just because I know like there's a lot of advantage of it, but right now I'm a night owl.
Same. So, what is your hidden talent?
Um, one of my hidden talents, I would say, it's not hidden to like close people, but one of my hidden talents would probably have to be singing.
Singing?
Yes, it's not something that I put out there a lot. Like I love singing in the car, around the house while cleaning, or even like while showering in the morning. I'm pretty sure that's everyone's forte, having little concerts. But one of my hidden talents would probably be singing, actually.
That actually leads to our next question is, what is your favorite karaoke song, Byron?
Okay, so my favorite karaoke song, I've been asked this a bunch, especially when doing karaoke while in college right now. But my go-to karaoke song would have to be Creep by Radiohead. I understand it's not a very popular song to many, but the reason why I choose that song is because I didn't start singing until I was possibly 10 years old. Growing up, we lived in Los Angeles, California, me and my family, and my grandparents actually lived here in Mississippi. So there was one summer that we came to visit them, and my grandmother had taken me to church. And when actually attending the church, seeing the choir up there getting to sing, I remember getting asked by one of the preacher's daughters. She came up to me and said, "Hey, would you like to come sing with us?" And I said, "Absolutely." So going up there and actually getting to start getting into the habit of singing, that was really eye-awakening, especially when singing at church. So then after realizing like this is something I love doing and can have a talent for, Creep by Radiohead was the very first song that I actually started singing. So that's my go-to karaoke song. My dad gets tired of it because anytime I sing, that's the one song I always sing, but it's just something I'm comfortable with.
Yes. Okay. And last one, what is your favorite fast food place?
Oh, wow, that's a tough one just because I feel like there are so many options. I feel like you could never go wrong with like Chick-fil-A or something really close to that though. Like just the way their food's prepared and everything. I always love the grilled chicken cool wraps, especially with the avocado lime ranch sauce. That is my go-to order from Chick-fil-A actually, but Chick-fil-A would have to be just one of my go-to spots. I feel like you can never go wrong with it.
Yes. I'm a big chicken fan. That's all I eat.
Absolutely, especially in Mississippi actually,
Yes.
being here and everything.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now let's get back to the serious questions.
Okay.
So, what inspires you to do FFA?
So something that inspired me to do FFA, it would actually have to be someone that inspired me. So like I said, growing up, we lived in Los Angeles for 10 years. I was actually born in New Albany, Mississippi, but then after I was 2 months old, my family made the decision to move to Los Angeles. So when living in an urban environment for about 10 years, then moving to the rural environment of Ripley, Mississippi, it was very life-changing. I remember the very first night I couldn't sleep just because the sound of chaos outside in the big city to the small, quiet environment in Mississippi was just such a big change. So trying to find my own place that I could call home and just finding something I'm comfortable with took a while until one day I'm sitting in my room and my older sister, she comes up to me and she had already joined some clubs at our new high school. And she came up to me with a paper that had been torn out of a book, and it was blue and yellow. And it was the little slip that's inside of the FFA manual. She hands it to me and she says, "Look, sit here, listen, read. Make sure though I do not miss a single word." And she's reciting the FFA Creed. And this was my first time ever hearing the FFA Creed, ever learning about what FFA is. So sitting there, I was like, she's not going to remember all 5 paragraphs. But she managed to do so. And something that just really pointed out to me was hearing her say over and over, "I believe." Especially whenever I knew it was something that she hadn't written down. However, just her voice and being so persuasive and just having the adrenaline when actually reciting the creed just really inspired me to when they joined FFA. And Creed Speaking was actually the very first contest that I competed in within my high school years and went to nationals for. So that's just where I started my little journey, and overall wanted to be more involved within the FFA. Overall showing our own beliefs and own opinions and just understanding that we are so diverse within the industry. However, all of those different tools are things that we can use to just create a brighter future.
Yes, I love that story, how you started that.
Oh, yes.
So what made you run for office?
Something that made me run for office. Within Mississippi, we have our senior association and then we also have our junior association. So after my sister had recited the FFA creed, I remember going up to our FFA booth at the local county fair where I saw the local advisor and told him, hey, I want to join FFA. This is something my older sister did. Let me start joining it and just seeing what it's all about. When joining the atmosphere of it and participating in different events, I remember attending a local contest where I saw our state sentinel at the time, Tyler Hawkins, attend, and just seeing him be surrounded by members and overall just spreading joy and being such a light to everyone is truly what made me run for office. So I took little steps, understood at the time, being in 7th grade, I couldn't run for a senior state officer position, so I decided to run for a junior state officer position. When going through that process and just being supported by not only my family members, but also local advisors and just different candidates that were running and just being there to call a place home, that's when I had the opportunity to serve as our junior state reporter in 2019 through 2020, and then COVID happened. So it was a very rocky start, getting to attend summer leadership camps, getting to go to different events. And then COVID-19, a pandemic happened where we all had to be inside. So when reflecting on it, I decided, you know what, for our members, let me rerun. Let me run for junior state office at least one more time, because you could run up until you're in 9th grade. When rerunning, I had the opportunity of then serving as our president. And that was just a blast. I mean, the first time we actually got to see all of our junior state members and even being together as a junior state officer team during that year was not actually until our state convention, whenever they hosted it at the mill at Starkville, Mississippi. So just getting to see all of the members and just the light that they bring and just how much of an impact you can be on them, that's what really then made me consider running for senior state office, because I could have just been done in that moment, said, okay, I served twice for our junior association, let me put it to rest and just be a member until I graduate. But really, and this just all goes down, what made me ultimately want to run for senior state office had to be our members, getting to see the impact that not only you put on them, but the impact that they put on you, and just getting to make it a continuing process, because you never know whenever you're going to say something inspirational or motivational to a member to the point where they can then pass that on to someone else. And it's just a rippling effect to where you just keep on spreading that light and joy. So that's ultimately what made me run for senior state office, is overall just our members and getting to see what they can continue to do within our organization.
I love that. Thank you. So what is your goal, one of your goals for president this year?
One of my goals for president this year?
Mm-hmm.
Something I always say, and this is even just a personal life goal of mine, would overall just be living in the moment. However, making sure that by the end of the year, whenever I take off that jacket for the final time and hang it up, making sure that I personally have no regrets within my year of service. Making sure that every member I met, every event that I attended, every overall person that I networked with or collaborated with, every industry professional that I met with, or just even sitting in these interviews, making sure that I just spread that joy and overall just create a connection and a bond with someone that will last forever. Because you never know, after you retire that jacket, whenever you go work for someone in a professional environment, you never know whenever they ask you, hey, what were you involved in whenever you were in high school or even in college, and can proudly say FFA and tell them all of the stories about what you did. Because then that can even create a longer connection where maybe your boss one then says, hey, I was an FFA too, and this is everything I did. And they would never know. Maybe you get the job just because you had a connection with an FFA and share all of your stories. So just making sure that I personally live with no regrets, making sure that everything I do is for a purpose that will last forever, making sure that not only what am I doing now is here in the moment, but also making sure that maybe it can affect something in the future. Maybe members can look back and say, they did this back then, like let's continue that or just make it stronger. So making sure not only do we live in the moment, but we also just live with no regrets in our entire life.
Absolutely. I love that. So how do you balance school, FFA, and your personal life?
It's tough, I will say. It is not easy at all. There are some challenging aspects of it. So just a little bit about me. I attend Mississippi State University, where I'm currently serving as a sophomore majoring in agricultural education. I serve as our state president for Mississippi FFA. I also work at our Bureau of Plant Industry, also known as the BPI office here in Starkville. And I also am a cashier at our local Walmart.
That's a
Then I
lot.
also have my personal life to attend to with my friends and my families. So, how do I balance it overall? Is just making sure that all of my ducks are in a row. Most people don't use planners or will just put stuff in their calendars. Me personally, I am not someone that really likes to write a bunch down and just follow it or accordingly. Like I'll just look back at my reminders that I may have set in my phone, or maybe in Canvas I have my to-do list to make sure that I look back in, or maybe there's emails that I just have to scroll back on and just make sure that I can attend. But with balance, just making sure that I can set everything in line by ensuring that, okay, I'm going to get this done at a specific date, a specific time, and just making sure that when I actually get it done, that I do it to a fulfillment as possible, making sure that when maybe I have to go on a chapter visit because maybe I have to take off work or something, making sure that I'm there in the moment, putting my all into it, and just ensuring that I can have a well-rounded life and just being balanced within the moment.
Yes. Okay, another question. What does being Mississippi president mean to you personally?
Being our state president honestly just means a lot because it's not so much about the title that is right there on his jacket or even whatever other clothes I may have, or even on my socials where I may have to put state president just so people possibly know who I am. It's not all about that. Mainly about the members that surround me and just getting to be an impact for them. You know, one thing that I just love to tell others, I guess you could say preach in a sense, is that leadership does not come with a title. There may be someone else out there that is just like me that may not have the title of being a state president. However, we still have the same characteristics and overall we still portray that same form of leadership. So what it means to me personally is just knowing like, yes, others trust you within that position, which is absolutely amazing. You know, they say maybe you earned that title. They trusted you with being our state president for the year. However, it just means a lot more beyond that title. It honestly also just means a lot more beyond a jacket. I mean, something I like to tell our members also, there's going to be a time, it is sad within its moment, but there is going to be a time where you unzip that jacket for the final time. However, all of the memories, all of the leadership characteristics and communicational skills that you learned, all of the CDs and LDs that you participated in, all of those personal growth opportunities, those do not just go away. I mean, personal growth is something that is unlimited. It's not just a one-stop destination. So even knowing like whenever you zip off that jacket for the final time, FFA, I mean, everything that you gained within it is not gone completely. That is something that you can still use furthermore, which is, I mean, something that I still use within State President, maybe while working at a local Walmart. You know, when a customer is in need or something's not going right within their day, being a leader within its own aspect and telling them like, hey, how are you? I mean, I can help you in any way possible, whether that is verbally or even through actions, because there is so much more that you can do even within your own actions. Leadership does not always have to be amplified. You can even be observant within its own aspect. So what being state president means a lot to me is honestly just focusing beyond that title that you may have or I may have in a sense. You know, focusing on the actions that I demonstrate, the people that I meet, the people that I communicate with, and just, you know, doing a lot more than just the title that I wear, truly putting into action. Maybe that's within my duties or just being the individual that I am today.
Yes, I love that. So, what skill do you think is crucial for future agriculture leaders?
A skill that I honestly think is crucial for future agricultural leaders, and this is just something that I believe in, is making sure that your values, I guess you could say, are in order. I feel like having values is something that is very crucial within our own skills, making sure that we value something, making sure that it is very important to us. I mean, one of my values that I have, and this is just a life value, doesn't have to be really resolved with an FFA, but it's just others' happiness. I understand most people think about this, and I've been told this, like, they'll look at me and be like, Byron, others' happiness, like, we need to focus on you in a sense. But it was a question that I got asked at this past year when running for state office. A question that I got asked by our non-pump coordinator, he looked at me and he said, Byron, state president can hold a lot. There's a lot that can go within it. The people you meet, the people you have to network with. However, if elected for president, how are we going to make sure that you are okay? How is Byron going to make sure that he is okay throughout the rest of the year? And I had looked at him and I said, if we're being honest, making sure that others are okay is how I make sure that I'm okay. Making sure that others had a smile on their face at least once today. Making sure that they were at least told, hey, how are you doing? Just checking in with them. Or just making sure that they truly have a purpose within life. That is how I make sure I'm okay and how I just run through the days. Most people will tell me, like, your smile is very affectionate. Maybe it's something as small as that will put a smile on someone else's face or just bring joy to their day. So I feel like having values within your own life and making sure that you at least set something that is very important to you. Maybe something you value is your family. Maybe something you value is FFA or even state office. Or maybe something you value is just your future and being well-rounded. So I feel like having values is very crucial, and it's just a good skill to have with future agriculturists and even advocates within the industry.
I do agree, yes. What's a piece of advice you would give to any FFA member?
Piece of advice. It's a difficult one just because I don't feel like there's one thing that I can necessarily choose to say to FFA members, whether that is talking about my experience or talking about the things they're going through. I mean, if I did have to choose just one piece of advice, it's to live in the moment, something I've said before, but also rely on others. I mean, rely on your people that you're going to have within the industry. I remember last year I did a chapter visit with, trying to think, I think it was the Rosa Fort FFA chapter with Mr. Buford out there, their FFA advisor. And when attending the chapter visit, they are in a very rural community. I mean, they pretty much don't have a lot. And if they do have anything, it's something that Mr. Buford truly put into their chapter and just truly built up. When attending the chapter visit, I remember looking at him and saying, like, Mr. Buford, I'm very proud of you as an advisor and everything that you do for your members. And he looks at me, he says, well, Byron, what exactly do you mean? And I told him, like, your members are very well-mannered. Like, you could tell that they truly just want to be there. They truly want to be at school. And he tells me, well, some of these kids want to go to school because whenever they go back home, it's not necessarily a home that they can attend to. When you ask some of those people that are in FFA and you ask them, well, where do you live? Instead of saying, I live here, they'll say, oh, well, I stay at so-and-so's house. And continuing the conversation, it just really made me have an eye-opening aspect, getting to actually sit down and reflect that once we are all together, zipping up the blue jacket, all of those worries, everything that is stressful, everything that is complicated, going on at home, or even within our school aspect, all of that is gone, and we just enjoy each other's company. So some piece of advice I would just tell others is really rely on others, but also just to get to know them beyond the blue jacket. I mean, you never know. Maybe you're going through something at home, or maybe you got a bad grade on your test at school. And then you look at someone in FFA, maybe they are so amazing. Maybe you could just tell they have a smile on their face all the time. Their leadership aspects are also there. However, maybe they're also going through the same thing at home or at school. And when zipping up the blue jacket, they just tend to forget about it or tend to hide it. So really just rely on others, get to know them more on a personal level, because you never know when someone else may be going through the same things that you are going through. And that is just something that you can ultimately just create more of a connection. I mean, this organization is truly inspirational and unbelievable how many, like right now we have 1 million members within the national FFA organization. And knowing that not only can you create lasting friendships within your state, but however, you can go beyond, maybe beyond Mississippi. I mean, with state office, I had the opportunity to have friends, from all across the state. You have friends from Alabama, Tennessee, Louisiana, Colorado, California. Literally everywhere. So just getting to rely on people and going out there and creating those connections, because you never know where they are possibly going to take you. Some people that started with an FFA that wore the blue jacket, some of them are teaching together right now. They're advisors. Some of them are possibly roommates in college. You never know where the jacket is going to take you. So a piece of advice I would just put into simple terms is to rely on others. Get to know them more of a personal level, because you never know what connections you are going to possibly make. And that is not only something that affects the other person, but it can also affect you.
Yes, that's one of my favorite things about FFA is just how encouraging and motivating people are, and just watching others grow.
And
yes,
that's something that you've done also, with FFA and the USA Reporter. Getting that opportunity to serve as the Mississippi FA and the USA Reporter. But I knew at Nationals, you had told me, like, you're also networking with other USA and the reporters and just getting to learn them. So it's right there. Set in stone.
Okay, so I guess we can start off your funniest FFA memory.
My funniest FFA memory?
Yes, your funny FFAs.
One of my funniest FFA memories, this comes from my advisor. She always tends to tell this story at a chapter banquet or just when meeting other people and talking about me. But it was my first time ever at the National FFA Convention in Indianapolis. And I was serving as our junior state reporter at the time. So normally our senior officers go. However, they gave me the opportunity to go just because I was serving our junior state association. And it just gave me the opportunity to go see what more FFA was all about. So we're over there. I'm pretty sure it's at the monument they have out there. Over there by like the Rocket Fizz, the little roundabout place that they can have over there. And me and my chapter just got done. You know, you can go up and down those stairs, and once you're up there, I mean, it's breathtaking. You get to see the whole view of the city. However, it was a challenge getting up and down. We finally got down, and we managed to cross the street to go to the local Rocket Fizz that was out there. And we're walking, and our secretary at the time, she's walking in front of me. And I remember tripping over one of the sewage things in the middle of the road. Traffic is ongoing. I mean, it's coming for us. Like, we're looking, trying to manage, like, we're playing Crossy Road at this moment, trying to get across the street. And the worst thing possible that could happen, I trip. Not only do I fall into, like, the back crease of her leg, like right there, the knee in her crease, to the point where not only do I fall, I manage her to fall backwards to the point where I'm laying down on the ground and she is sitting on top of me with traffic coming. It's something that is always memorable. It's a story that I just love telling. I mean, heck, there's so many other stories I could tell, but that right there would have to be one of the funniest ones. I mean, if there's anything that would possibly come to a close second, this is just another funny story. All of the FA members in Mississippi will probably get a kick out of this one, especially when attending our center. But it was my first year running for senior state office, my junior year of high school. And we were told to bring a sentimental item. So something that was truly personal to my heart and even my chapters, I brought a box of crayons. Most people may think, a box of crayons, like that's sentimental? However, it was truly personal to my chapter because we always said, and it's something that's a good luck charm within our jacket. It's something I have right now in my FFA jacket. But we would always grab one crayon before any event, break it in half, and the meaning behind it was that even though it's broken, it's still usable. There is still a purpose to it. So that is something that I had shared to that non-com that year. I was the very first one to go, and our instructions were after you are done with your completion of interviews, you can go down to the cabins and go to sleep. So I was like, okay, yes, I'm the first one. I'm going to bed early. Let me go get some rest. Going down, I'm walking down the hill, and all the FA members in Mississippi know at the very bottom there is that bridge that is over there. It is pitch black. The only thing that is following me through that light is the lamps out there on the light poles. Going down, I trip and fall. Box of crayons, a whole 64 box of crayons with a sharpener in the back, flies open. Picking up crayons, some had fallen underneath that bridge. And it was just a disaster. And no one knew about it until I told the story later on. And even our non-com coordinator didn't even know about it until I told her the day, a whole year after, actually. So that's a funny story I just love to tell. It hurt at the time. However, it's just something I reflect on and be like, you know what? That was silly of me to fall.
Yes, that bridge gets me all the time because every time I walk across that bridge with my heels, it gets stuck.
I know, like, heels get stuck, people roll on their ankles. My very first summer leadership camp, a turtle had given birth out there to like her eggs or something. It's crazy out there. Just the stories that bridge has. No, yeah, there's a lot that goes on out there.
It is. Yes. So what's your favorite FFA memory? Like something that really inspires you, like something you reflect on from time to time.
Okay, this one's gonna take a little bit of a turn. Not many people are suspecting me to say this. Some of it will be a shocker. A very reflective memory I have. That year I ran for state office, my junior year in high school, going into senior year, I did not get elected. I remember they were going down the list, going down, and we finally got to president, and there was only 4 of us there at the time. So we're standing there, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is the shot. However, I remember looking to our state president that got elected that year, Ashton Luke, and she had ran the year before. And me and Ashton actually served on a junior state officer team together. I was our reporter, and she was our vice president. And I remember they're getting down to president, and I looked over, and I told her, I said, Ashton, I said, you got this. And she looks down at me, she says, Byron, she says, we don't know that. Like, we don't know whose name is going to get called. And I told her, I said, believe me, your name is going to get called. And surely it did. As she's running on the stage, I remember just a very reflective moment. Non-Pom had asked me that year, Byron, if you don't get elected, how are you going to react? And me being humbling and telling them the honest truth, I told them, I would have the biggest smile on my face. I would be cheering on that new state officer team. However, after Ashton's name got called, I remember I did have a smile at first, but it truly hurt. My smile started to fade, and I just felt disappointed in myself. I was thinking, like, why am I not truly happy? I mean, like, what's going on? Like, my face isn't showing it. After that year not getting elected, it truly had a lot of reflection for my year. Going into my senior year, I wanted to serve our state association. I wanted to be a state officer. I mean, it was something that I truly wanted to do for our members and even for the future. However, I realized within that moment, my senior year was probably one of my best FFA years outside of state office or anything else. Just because it was that last moment that I finally got to have with my chapter. The chapter that I grew up with. I mean, our president at the time, because I was our officer coordinator my senior year, our president at the time, she's one of my closest friends. Me and her literally started FFA day one and ended day one. So getting to spend that final moment, I mean, that is something that's truly inspiring to me. And I mean, most people think, best FFA memory, something that's very reflection. I mean, you wouldn't think of something that you didn't get. However, it truly possibly was not getting state office just because it allowed me to grow as an individual. Looking back, I mean, I remember some non-pom members telling me, whenever you went into that interview room, you were too professional, way too confident, kind of robotic. And at the time, I didn't think anything of it because I thought, growing in FFA, this is who I truly was. Like, this is how you have to be, that perfect model. However, there is no such thing as a perfect state officer, a perfect member, or a perfect human being. I mean, there's a such thing as a good person, but not a perfect one. So reflecting back, best FFA memory, something that has allowed me to reflect a lot on the year, would be not getting that moment to serve our association that first year. Just because it allowed me to reflect a lot on the future years to come. It allowed me to reflect on how can I grow as a person. It gave me kind of that humbling moment to where I can learn to be confident, but not cocky. So that's just one of my best FA memories. It's something I can talk about for days and just look back on and smile at. Because, I mean, just seeing that younger version of myself to where I am now, I mean, I honestly wish that I could talk to that person and tell them, you're not going to get it, embrace it, but look at the possibilities at hand. Look at the future and what bright things are to come.
Yes, there's so much beyond the blue jacket, and just the blue jacket just prepares you for what's next, and there's the possibilities are endless.
Absolutely, yes. That's something that's so amazing about it. I just love it.
Thank you, Byron, so much for coming on the podcast. I love hearing all your memories and all your stories.
Thank you so much. No, this is truly, honestly, I just love doing special interviews like this or even podcasts just because it allows me to reflect on where I started and where I'm going to now. And I just hope that not only do our members in Mississippi, but any other members watching across the nation, I mean, they can just get something out of this and just learn, like, you don't have to be just contained within the blue jacket. You can take that furthermore. And our stories are something that we can tell beyond these days and everything.
Thank you again, Byron.
Yes, Sophie. Thank you so much for having me.